I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder and I had a grand mal seizure. Eventually, my own strength wasn't enough. I just broke down and cried. I was losing faith.
My parents got a divorce. We went through a lot of rough patches. I ended up going to college 700 miles away from home. I was just so struck by God at that moment.
Hey guys, welcome back to our last week, week 4 of Surrounded Worship's Songs and Stories. Tonight you're going to hear from Sarah Kilby and Savannah Stutzman as they share about what worship means to them in their lives. So let's worship together.
I saw Satan fall like lightning. I saw darkness run for cover, but the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. Yeah, I believe in signs and wonders. I have resurrection power. Yes, I do. For the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven, and my praise belongs to you forever. This is my testimony from death to life, 'cause grace rewrote my story. I'm testifying by Jesus Christ the righteous. I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Come together, sons and daughters, bought with blood and washed in water. Sing the praises of the Spirit, Son and Father. Our God will finish what He started. Come on, yeah, our God will finish what He started. Oh, this is my testimony from death to life, 'cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify by Jesus Christ the righteous. I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Whoa. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Greater things are still to come. Oh, I believe. If I'm not dead, you're not done. Greater things are still to come. This is my testimony from death to life, 'cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify by Jesus Christ the righteous. I'll testify. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Whoa. Woo.
Hi everybody, my name is Sarah. I am the videographer for Surrounded Worship, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my testimony and my faith journey. So, I grew up Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I always knew the Lord. Later on in life, I ended up kind of falling off with Catholicism, and my family stopped going to church. When I was 2, my parents got divorced, and then when I was 4 was the last time I ever saw my dad. So I grew up with a single mom, and she taught me to be extremely independent and strong, and that got me pretty far, but eventually my own strength wasn't enough. So when I was a junior in high school, I started going through some health issues, and I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, which is basically where your healthy cells attack other healthy cells. So your body kind of deteriorates, attacks itself. So I was extremely fatigued all the time. School was really hard. I was a minor, so I had to go to a pediatrician that was in Orlando, about an hour and a half away from where I live. I would miss school. My mom would miss work just to go to a doctor's appointment. And they take a really long time to diagnose the specific type of autoimmune disorder. So it was a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of tracking symptoms and doing blood work and then showing back up in 3 to 6 months. So I remember one appointment, I left the appointment, I got in the car with my mom, and she was like, well, how do you feel about that, how that appointment went? And I was just like, I just broke down and cried because I didn't know what to feel, I didn't know how to feel, I was losing faith. My strength wasn't taking me where it should have taken me, and I was losing faith. So shortly after that, I told my best friend April, who I'd been going to church with, who has always helped me in my faith. I told her, I want to start going to your church and I want to go, every day or every weekend and just get to know the Lord better and put my faith and strength in Him. So after that, I was going to church every Sunday. I was going on Wednesdays. I was helping out with, with messages and services and just doing things kind of behind the scenes. So I was super involved. And things were really great because I had such a good relationship with the Lord. So everything was going really well. And then I moved to college and I had to find a new church because I was far from home. And so, like anybody's faith journey, my faith wavered a little bit during that time because I kind of got caught up in living the college life and trying to find a church and not really being connected. And then COVID hit and kind of ruined any consistency that I had going on. So after COVID, after being kind of alone and isolated from my roommates and from school, when I came back to school, it was very different. Everything in the world had changed, and I just felt like the whole dynamic of just my whole college dynamic was completely changed, and I ended up being extremely depressed, anxious, stressed, and it was leading to what I thought were panic attacks. I would wake up in the middle of the night with these severe panic attacks, hyperventilating, just like tunnel vision, couldn't focus, and they were just terrible. And then 6 months, a year later, after having those, I was at work and I had a grand mal seizure. I spent a couple days in the hospital. Luckily, I was around people that could catch me when I fell and just could keep me safe. But I was in the hospital for a couple of days, and then they diagnosed me with epilepsy. And I found out that those little panic attacks that I was having were actually partial seizures. So, and that time was another time when I was just like, why me? Like, what did I do to deserve this? And how am I going to get through it? Because it wasn't my own strength, again, that could get me through it. And of course, after being in the hospital from that, I was super anxious because now something is wrong with my brain, which is even more scary than an autoimmune disorder, in my opinion. So I was just extremely defeated. And so after just realizing that I just can't live my life in that kind of fear, I just, again, turned to the Lord and picked back up where I left off. Luckily, He met me where I was. And I've been, consistent with reading my Bible again and just listening to Him, reaching out to Him for help and guidance. And of course, that always works, and He always provides the strength that you need to get through anything. This next song that we're going to sing is called In Over My Head. And I think it just kind of resonates with me because, it says, I'm in over my head, I'm knees deep, my heart, goes further and further away from the shore, but then He crashes over me. So no matter if I feel like I'm in the middle of the ocean, no one's around me, no one can help me, I'm sinking, I'm going under, He's still there and He's coming closer and closer. So let's sing.
Come to this place in my life, I'm full satisfied this longing to have more of you. And I can feel in my heart is convinced I'm thirsty, my soul can't be quenched. You already know this, but still come and do whatever you want to. And I'm standing knee deep, but I'm out where I've never been. And I hear you coming, and I hear your voice on the wind. Would you come and tear down the boxes that I have tried to put you in, and let love come teach me who you are again? Would you take me back to the place where my heart was only about you, and all I wanted was just to be with you? So come and do whatever you want to. And further, my heart moves away from the shore. Whatever it looks like, whatever may come, I'm yours. And further, my heart moves away from the shore. Whatever it looks like, whatever may come, I'm yours. And then you crash over me, and I've lost control, but I'm free. I'm going under. I'm in over my head. And you crash over me, and that's where you want me to be. And I'm going under. I'm in over my head. And whether I sink and whether I swim, it makes no difference when I'm beautifully in over my head. And whether I sink and whether I swim, oh, it makes no difference when I'm beautifully in over my head. Whether I sink and whether I swim, it makes no difference when I'm beautifully in over my head. I'm beautifully in over my head. I'm beautifully in over my head.
Hey guys, I'm Savannah Stutzman. I'm part of the lead team here at Surrounded Worship. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story before we go ahead and sing this next song. So I have grown up in the church. All I can remember is going to church on Sundays and Wednesday nights, going to all the youth camps. Those are literally my favorite parts of my entire life as a kid, was going to camps over the summer. They just filled me up so much. My parents were here, born and raised here in Lakeland, and they got a divorce when I was about 5 years old. And we went through a lot of rough patches, but we still continued to go to church. I still continued to hang out with my friends. So there were things that changed, but there were a lot of things that were able to stay the same. When I was younger, I didn't really feel like I had a testimony, because I would hear about people that would go through these crazy things that would happen to them and how they would see God reach in and grab them out. And as a kid, I was like, I didn't feel like I had a testimony because nothing crazy had happened to me like that. But I was reminded a lot that every single person has a testimony. It doesn't have to be this crazy thing happened and God pulled me out, because God can also just be with you wherever you are. And God has been with me my entire life. And through the divorce of my parents, He was with me every single step of the way. And going through high school is probably when my faith started to become my own, and when I really started to learn about God and be able to pursue Him fully with my whole heart, and be able to make friends that were also Christians, and we could do things together that would encourage our spirit and our relationship with God. And then I decided my senior year that I was gonna go off to college, but I was gonna not go to college in Florida. And originally it was me and my best friend were supposed to go off to college in Tennessee, but it ended up just being me. So that was really, really scary. I ended up going to Trevecca Nazarene College in Nashville, Tennessee, which is 700 miles away from home. So I think that's one of the biggest steps of faith I've ever taken, is going to college away from home, going where I didn't technically know anyone. I had family 2 hours away from there, but I was really going on my own for the first time in life. And it made me realize that I was so comfortable where I was. And so I was stepping out in faith, and I was gonna be in a really uncomfortable situation. I was actually gonna have to step out and make new friends, make more relationships, and kind of trust God to lead me where He was wanting me to go. And I remember the first week is welcome week. You have all these games and all these events, and it's super packed. And so I was busy. I wasn't really thinking about the fact that I was 700 miles away from home. And so I really enjoyed that time. And then as school started and things started to kind of slow down, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? I know that God has called me here to this college, but what is the point of it? What does He have for me here? And so I started really struggling with that, because I was starting to get homesick. I was starting to be sad, miss my friends, miss my mom, miss my dad, miss my family, miss my boyfriend. And it was just a really hard time that I wasn't sure why God had called me here, even though I knew He did. And when I struggle with things, which I think I've said in the past, I just listen to worship music. I'm not musically talented, but that's okay. But I still listen to worship music because it just has such a pull on my heart. And so I would just sit in our dorm room, and me and my roommate would just listen to worship music. And there was a song that came on one time. It's called Higher by All Sons and Daughters. And it was just playing, and I just remember hearing it for the first time. And I was just so struck by God at that moment, because it hit my heart really hard. And I want to read some of the lyrics for you so you can understand why it hit me so hard. So this is just some of the verses that the song says. It says, I could just sit and wait for all your goodness and hope to feel your presence. I could just stay right where I am and hope to feel you, hope to feel something again. I could hold on to who I am and never let you change me from the inside. I could be safe here in your arms and never leave home and never let these walls down. But you have called me higher, and you have called me deeper, and I'll go wherever you will lead me. And at the end it says, I will be yours for all of my life, so let your mercy light the path before me. And so these words just really sank into my heart, and it almost pushed me and encouraged me to keep going, because God has called me to something higher. Even if I don't know exactly what it is, He's calling me to things that are higher than this world and things that are going to push me forward. And I don't want to hold back my future just because I'm scared of what's going to happen, or I don't know what's going to happen. And so one of the ones that really come true to my heart is, I can feel safe here in your arms and never leave home and never let my walls down. Because if we don't let our walls down, God's not going to be able to come in. He's waiting for us, but we have to let our walls down and let him come in, and he will be with us. And he's called us to higher things. And so now reflecting back on my college years, and after that song kind of like pushed me forward, I did end up coming back home after a year of being in Nashville. But that year in Nashville is so crucial to my story because I became almost a completely different person, but just like I became independent. I learned how to be independent of myself and not rely on people. But then I also learned how to be dependent on God because I could not do that without him. And so that song just really encouraged me to remember that I can be dependent on God and he's calling me to higher things. And so I just really need to let him light my path and to let my walls down. So let's just sing this song together.
I could just sit and wait for all your goodness, hope to feel your presence. I could just stay right where I am and hope to feel you, hope to feel something again. And I could hold on to who I am and never let you change me from the inside. And I could be safe, oh, I could be safe here in your arms and never leave home, never let these walls down. But you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord. You have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord. Will you lead me? Will you lead me, Lord? I could hold on to who I am and never let you change me from the inside. But I could be safe, oh, I could be safe here in your arms and never leave home, never let these walls down. But you have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you will lead me, Lord.
had great parents. They're not dead. I didn't have great parents. I messed up.
Who's leading this one, Sarah?
Kristen. Kristen is leading this one. Kristen.
Jake is leading this one. Or you can do.
Jake is starting
You can
it.
get a little shot of the.